Greetings, Geekvolution mofos. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And it is time for another exciting Geekvolution After Dark for the next hour or however long we end up going.
It probably won't be like last time.
We don't like to promise a time limit if things get really cooking. Eric and I are going to talk about some random topics that we put in our phones. We have lots of things that we want to talk about, or I should say, we have like 5 or 6 things each that we want to talk about. And we'll see how many of those things we get to. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
Eric, what alcohol company is sponsoring the show this evening, sir?
We went out. I wanted to drink a little bit before we recorded. So we went out, and the only thing open was the local
Price Chopper?
pharmacy. Yeah. Grocery store.
Grocery store, right? For 9 minutes.
Yeah.
They had us for 9 minutes
They're
of
open
playtime
until midnight, and so we got Rolling Rock because it was either Rolling Rock or
the AVGN beer of choice.
But not the James Rolfe beer of choice.
That's true. He's not actually a big fan of Rolling Rock.
He's not a big fan of Rolling Rock.
And he doesn't put the beer in it most of the time. He's usually just drinking water or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Early on, he did it more, but this is what I remember from behind-the-scenes videos from a long time ago. But because as we all know, for whatever reason, I'm like a mega fan of James Rolfe. Like at one point, if you haven't heard us talk about this before, Eric and I discovered that I know an insane amount about that channel. I know
You're
way
a huge fan of the nerd,
and didn't realize it until we started talking. And then you were like, "No, dude, you like drove to see his movie that now sells everywhere for like $1."
That's not the thing that would make me be like, "No, you're a huge fan." It's the continuity knowledge and like that. And this is a reference to this, and that's a callback to episode 248.
I don't know the numbers, but you're right.
But you do know, like you could be like, and that's a callback to the Zelda episode.
Yeah, that's
a callback to the Rock'em Sock'em Robots episode.
I think at some point that should be a thing. I think at some point we decided that I know James Rolfe about like I know Star Trek. That's not right. Why is that?
You probably know James Rolfe about as well as I know Red Letter Media at this point.
Yeah, and I just know the Plinkett stuff.
Yeah, no, there's a whole continuity with that. And at some point, I'm going to make you watch their movie Space Cop. Because you maybe watched the Angry Video Game, but at some point...
Are you going to do it as a He Made Me Watch?
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so the choice was Rolling Rock or like the Smirnoff like ice stuff, which I enjoy, but I wanted something a little bit harder. Not that Rolling Rock's super hard, but like...
No.
It's harder than Smirnoff ice.
You'll get through at least 2 of those.
Yeah. I've got a second one.
And because I'm calorie counting, I'm just going to drink 1. These are only 130 calories. It's not horrible.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And I had a pretty lean day, so, yeah.
And I drink faster than you.
Isn't my life so adventurous?
Not just with alcohol, but like I think just in general I drink a little bit faster than you. Or more than you.
Well, you're a bigger guy than me. You know, so that's probably true of, eating too and other stuff. But anyway, are you ready to get started, Aaron?
I am.
All right, here we go. We're going to put 1 hour on the clock.
On your fancy watch?
On my fancy
future watch.
That's right. I actually ripped this off of James Bond. I just, you wouldn't think I could win in a fight. Between me and James Bond, but yeah.
But you've been dieting, so now.
Not even really working out. Yeah. Just okay. Here we go. The secret is don't eat that much meat. You can kick James Bond's ass.
Do you know how many cigarettes James Bond smokes according to the books?
Well, no, I don't know that.
Okay, so a pack of cigarettes is 20 cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
He smokes 80 cigarettes a day. According to the book.
Wow.
He smokes 80 cigarettes.
He's John Constantine.
You might be able to take him in a fight.
That's amazing. People on the channel are asking us to do Bond Mania. It's starting to come up frequently.
I would do it.
Like Godzilla came up today, and a couple people were like, Yeah, that's an okay idea. We'd much prefer Bond. I mean, I'm hearing this from people. I don't know why anybody wants me to talk about that. I think they want you to talk about it, and me to just like sit there, press the button, and edit the video so that it gets up, because we know that's the only way that gets up.
Okay. So two things. One, if we're doing one of those two manias, Godzilla Mania makes way more sense, because those are so silly, they're easy to riff. Like, I think we would have a better time.
I wouldn't even need to know them.
No, we would have a better time. Like, just the like 20 minutes of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla you watched. Like, no, we would have a better time.
Bond would be like a history course from you and me just going, that was a neat explosion, like...
But, starting with the next omnibus.
Yeah.
My plan is, and maybe people won't want Bond Mania after this, but my plan is...
Are you still planning on doing it?
I'm still planning on doing this.
Cool.
Is I want to watch a Bond movie a week and go through them all sequentially, because I've never actually sat down and done that, because I don't like the Roger Moore era. I tend to watch the Sean Connerys in order, because they do kind of build each other. And Cap will watch some of those with me. We've talked about, like, there's a couple that I'd like him to watch, a couple he wants to watch.
And we're not going to waste movie watches on them.
No.
Although that might end up falling into the... Well, maybe we'll just make it its own segment.
Sure.
If you do them frequently, yeah, we'll just have a little...
I would like to watch one a week.
One segment,
which would give me 2 an omnibus.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Well,
I am planning to go.
I am
through
not
and
going to
cover.
commit to watching all of them.
No.
It could happen if for whatever reason we get to talking and I get excited about it. It could happen. We tried a discussion series at one point. I watched one movie and said, Eric, I have jack for shit to say about this.
Yeah.
I just remember this was After Dark.
And some of them I don't know that well. A lot of the Roger Moore ones I don't know that well. I will say I will not do Casino Royale, the one with Woody Allen. I will not watch that film again.
Really?
It is a parody
That
film.
like barely counts.
Well, okay, so Casino Royale is technically owned by another company for a while.
Right? Yeah.
It's a parody that is not funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was made in the '60s, and it's just horrendous. It is nigh unwatchable.
I do want to do Thunderball, because I know you don't care for Thunderball, and I really like it.
No, I like Thunderball.
Oh, I thought you didn't like it.
No, I like
Who
Thunderball.
did I talk to that doesn't like it? So I talked to somebody that
I'm not
doesn't
sure.
like it.
I don't know what's happening in Thunderball. I don't know what the plot
That's
of
what I
Thunderball
like
is,
about it. It's
but-
all over the place.
but-
It's zany
but,
madness.
I'm not going to do the Casino Royale, but I will do Never Say Never Again, which I've only seen once.
Okay.
And you should watch that one.
Yeah.
Because that is a remake of Thunderball where Sean Connery comes back and plays James Bond again, and Kim Basinger is the...
After how many movies of not playing him?
I
did not know this.
Yeah, so Ian Fleming works on a pilot. Real quick history lesson. Ian Fleming
We,
works,
by the way, do not have 1 hour on the clock yet.
No. So Ian Fleming works on a pilot for a James Bond TV series. He works with a producer named I want to say Ralph McQuarrie, but I know that's not it.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
He works with a producer, and it doesn't go through. So Ian Fleming, never letting a good idea go to waste, just takes that script and turns it into a novel, and the novel is Thunderball. When it comes to make the movie, the guy's like, "Hey, I worked on that. That's technically kind of mine. That's the novel that first introduces Spectre and Blofeld.
Right.
This is where all of the legal trouble that finally got cleared up when that guy fucking died. That's how we got Spectre, was that guy fucking died. But he legally had the rights to remake Thunderball.
There's too much joy in your voice. Really. Too much.
I love talking about James Bond, but he legally had the rights to remake.
I mean, you're glad that man is dead. There's too much joy in your
No, I just think it's funny that like it's a legal battle that continued until he died. So he remade it he remade Thunderball into Never Say Never Again. Got Sean Connery back after he said he would never play James Bond again.
Wow.
It is directed by Irving Kershner.
Interesting.
Blofeld is played by. Oh, I can't remember what his name is, but he's great.
Like, what era is this? Is this 80s?
It comes out the same year as Octopussy. It was the year of battling Bonds.
Yeah, I heard about that, but I didn't remember. But is that 80s? You said Basinger's in it.
Early 80s.
Yeah, okay.
And then he wanted.
Is it any good?
It is. It's quite good.
Wow,
it's directed by Irving Kershner. Sean Connery still kind of owns the part. It's weird because there's no Bond theme. The score. There's no Bond song in the opening, like because they can't make a. Because obviously none of that comes from the books.
Not really a Bond movie.
It's not a traditional Bond movie, but it's still it's still an adaptation of that character.
Yeah. Boy, that's interesting.
And he wanted to do it again in what was going to be called Warhead 2000, where he was going to get Timothy Dalton to come back or reprise Bond in like the 90s.
This is why people want to see you do commentaries.
Sure.
Because you know so much about that stuff.
And I talk about the books and stuff. But.
You know, it's like me with Star Trek. Like you get on it, you just can't stop talking about it.
Anyways.
Everybody ready? Would you mind if I started this evening?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna get started. Here we go. I'm pressing. It's funny. It's actually like a play button. I'm pressing the play button on my watch. All right, so
everybody press play right
now. Yeah.
10 seconds ago.
Everybody sync with. Did we synchronize our watches? All right, Eric. Here is a simple question for you.
All right.
We have done a lot of stuff on the channel. Probably should have saved this for GNN. I'm not going to. This could come up on the channel at some point. Sure. You guys heard it here first. We've talked a lot on the channel, and I did a couple of videos, I think, with Vince about this topic, about the lack of serious animation in American culture, which people are always asking us to come back and revisit, because so much has changed in the culture, but that has not seemed to really.
We have a couple of things here and there.
I think there is the possibility of it changing because of some streaming trends, and I want to ask you if you agree with this.
Okay.
Do you think it's possible that we could start getting more serious, maybe ongoing TV shows, or I'm talking drama stuff. I'm not talking about comedy. I'm talking about Simpsons, of course. I'm talking about and genre or otherwise, just like serious for adults animation that's not just there to be gratuitous blood splattering, right?
Something that's generally made for adults.
Yeah, made by American houses. More than likely for streaming services because of the popularity of Castlevania and now Godzilla.
But we didn't make Godzilla. Godzilla's Japanese made.
That's not my point.
Okay. You just mean because it's on Netflix.
Because it's on Netflix. And because we're watching it.
I think Netflix could.
Yeah.
I think Netflix absolutely could. After Castlevania, I could see...
I don't think it matters that those things are Japanese, is my point. Whether or not they are.
Avatar, the Avatar guys that did Voltron, and they're going to do Carmen San Diego, I believe because they signed on to make 4 shows, I believe all 4 of those shows are children's programs.
Yeah.
But like at the more elevated, sophisticated level that those guys work on, I could see Netflix being like, hey, do you guys want to work on an adult show when you're finished with those?
Yeah.
I could see that happening. Or like a hard PG-13 or R, like the Marvel Netflix shows.
That's animated.
But is a reboot of a previous property. I could see that too.
Yeah, sure.
This is actually, Thundercats for adults or He-Man for adults.
Sure, Johnny Quest.
Yeah, Johnny. Oh god, I want it so bad.
Yeah, sure.
I love Johnny Quest. I'm not a Johnny Quest fan. Like, I don't know that show.
Yeah.
Like, I really like that concept. I want to get the DVDs.
I would love to see would be like a for adults update, like we're doing in comics with Jetsons, something like that.
Just all the Hanna-Barbaras. Like, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it would.
Because I think there's a real case.
I also think you can do original things, and I think you can go to properties that are already adult, and you just go animated because you can make it more cheaply, and because you can show anything you want to on screen. Law
and Order, the animated series.
I'm thinking about like, we could do, and I mean we do this with anime sometimes, but we could do ongoing shows or a mini series based on some kind of video game property like God of War or something.
Yeah, like Castlevania.
Or Hitman or something like that. I've been going back and playing a little bit of God of War, and I think it'd be really cool to do something Greek mythology, or do finally a good Dante's Inferno, because they did an animated movie based on that video game that was not great, and I think it'd be cool to do like a good Dante's Inferno.
Well, and video games,
something like that.
I think video games could be a really good medium, or could be a really good medium to pull from, because they're already adult, they're already rated M.
Yeah.
I think there could be a kick-ass Halo TV series. Like if we just gave up trying to make it a movie and said we're going to make a fucking awesome Halo miniseries or a TV series that's going to tell the whole story animated. I think that could be great.
I don't know dog in that fight. I don't know anything about Halo at all whatsoever. But
I think we could tell really sophisticated, smart science fiction with.
I think you could do it with Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2, but the weird thing with Mass Effect, at least from what I know of it, is it's so choice-based.
Sure.
Like, there were Mass Effect comics, and I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah, but, like, can't you just take the races and status quo and stuff from that universe
and just do an original story?
That's
I guess you could.
You don't have to adapt it. I'm just saying take that world and tell a story in it.
Yeah.
Which is what I would assume you'd do with Halo.
And there's a lot of video game franchises that I think, like...
And I think we can do this with things that aren't just superhero.
No, yeah. Max Payne, I think could be a fun, shooty, noir-y kind of animated thing. Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, this should happen.
Yeah. But I just think it's got more of a possibility. I think everything is real open right now.
I think we're flirting with it more now than we ever have.
Yeah.
And I think Netflix might be the guys to do it.
Well, definitely streaming is the place to do, because you don't have to worry about how many people are watching at once. You know, you don't have to worry about broadcasting it and getting butts in seats and that kind of thing. So, the place has never been big screen for that.
No,
it could be down the road if we popularize something, but like it's never been theaters, and we always kind of think about it like that, where it's like, well, you can't get a bunch of people to go to the movie theater and watch a rated PG-13 or rated R animated film,
and not take their kids.
But you can on Netflix.
Yeah.
And maybe that will help. My hope is because yeah, you have a lot of people. I should say this real quick. You have a lot of people who of Americans who have embraced anime and love that stuff, and I know there's a contingency of those people, but I think something like Netflix, because it's more available and it's like kind of in your face. With the way they advertise that stuff, and they just put it right on the homepage, there's probably people that are going to try that stuff and dabble in it that never would have looked at it before.
Yeah.
And I think that could lead to popularizing it and to finally get us into a place maybe 10 years from now, at maybe the earliest, where we stop thinking about animation as just kid stuff. We did it with comics, why can't we do it with animation?
I also think that to some degree at this point that's going to be generational.
Me too.
My generation and the one right before me grew up with anime.
Yeah.
Or to some
But the
degree.
ones that didn't still tend to think of animation as kid stuff.
Yeah.
To some degree. Or they've thrown their hands in the air and have done kind of what we have, which is to say, well, we get that you can that is a place where you can tell good, sophisticated stories. It's just never going to happen here.
But I think as those people become the people making decisions and making product, I think that will be... I think we just have to wait this out at this point.
Don't you think we have a lot of anime fans that just don't like trust America to make those kinds of things?
Sure, absolutely.
So they go, I need Japan, or we either need Japan or we need those of us that grew up with it, and we're not getting jobs in those fields. The people that aren't, you know what I mean?
Sure. No, yeah.
So anyway, that's my first topic.
Sure.
What is your first topic, Eric Holden?
My first topic is
I
want to talk about my shirt.
Cool. It's a pop Aquaman shirt.
And I want to talk about the mixed feelings I have about having this shirt. I know you cannot possibly have these mixed feelings because you wear pop shirts. You at least have a pop Batman shirt.
I would. I don't have a pop Batman shirt.
Batman
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I would wear one if I had one.
Okay.
I do not believe I have such a thing.
So,
what is your hang up here, sir? You have pops? What is the problem with wearing one on your t-shirt?
This
Fat-ish?
shirt, no.
No? Is that not the deal?
This shirt makes me feel like a billboard. I am selling product. I am a walking sign.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't have that.
Okay.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I do. I don't have a problem with wearing like an Aquaman shirt or like a Batman shirt, anything like that. That is a creative property.
Sure.
This is merchandise. I have merchandise on my shirt. I'm kind of bothered by the merchandisation of pop in general because it's product, and I think that's weird.
It wouldn't be as soon as we finally made a cartoon show or a movie, and I don't know why we haven't
done that.
But we're not
there yet.
Yeah.
Right now, I am selling product if I wear the shirt outside.
Yeah.
I don't like that feeling.
All right.
What is your?
It's stylized. It's
and you're also more into pops than I am. Like I buy some pops here and there. You have pops.
Here's the thing.
You have pops for days.
The reason I do. The reason it's difficult for me to weigh in on this is because I can't think of a good precedent or example. Would I wear something that is technically selling like an action figure or something if it looked really cool? Yeah, probably. I can't think of anything where I've ever done that, but I do have this isn't selling anything because I'm not carrying it around, but I have a Galactus poster in my game room that's well, it's not a poster, it's a banner that's of a Galactus action figure, but it looks really good. You can't tell just glancing at it that it's an action figure, so I bought that. I don't know, that's not exactly the same thing, but I guess I just mean that I've already kind of gotten over pictures of action figures. You know what I mean?
I don't know, there's something about it that feels real cynical to me. And I have this with people that wear
But okay, hold on. I gotta ask you this question. If it's cynical, is it not then kind of cynical in the same thing to wear something that is. I'm gonna talk myself out of my own argument. I just know I am. That like I hear where you're coming from. I'm playing devil's advocate because I don't immediately feel the same way you do. So I feel like I have to like fight it by arguing it. But I think you're gonna win it. But let's talk about it. So is it not like this is Lego? Am I not selling Legos when I wear this shirt?
You like Lego Batman games, and you like Lego Batman, the movie. Like, those are creative properties.
Okay.
There is nothing creative about a pop.
Okay.
It is entirely merchandise.
It is creative, just not in a narrative sense. But I would... Yeah. But okay, you and I have both worn T-shirts that are comic book covers. How's not that selling the
It's
comic
artistic.
book?
And most of that stuff's not stuff you can go buy right now. I'm not selling that comic book.
But you can make the argument that that is simply drawing Aquaman in the style of Pop, which makes it a stylized version of that character. And why is it... Why would it... Because you know it would be. Why would you suddenly feel differently about it if tomorrow they put out a movie? Why does that change it?
I actually don't know if that would...
Oh, okay,
like,
all right.
Because, like you've been talking forever how you want a Pop comic book. I don't need that. I don't want that. Like, that's a product. I don't need us to sell... There's something really weird about Pop for me, and not just Pop, but a lot of these products where, like, it is a product, and we are stealthily selling it.
Okay, but that's how the Lego games and Lego movies and things started.
But they were well done. Like
Pop is well done. I think it could be.
Maybe it could be.
I really like the Scribblenauts comic. The DC Scribblenauts comic, which is selling that video game, but it's in a particular style. And,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's narrative driven enough that it already has, like, it's about vocabulary. It's a written thing. Like, it makes a lot of sense actually to have a book about that and like encouraging kids to read and expand their vocabularies and stuff. So like, there's already a not just commercial reason, I suppose, to make that.
But I also roll my eyes.
I see where you're coming from. I just don't immediately have that. But I've always been so like mainstream guy. Like, I've never minded.
There's a real
the commercial aspect of this stuff where it's clear that things are being sold to me, but if I really like that thing, and like I don't tend to mind it that much.
There's a real like, and this is gonna sound like I'm a 14-year-old emo kid, but like there's a real like sheeple thing that I have whenever I see anyone wearing corporate logos. Nike on your shirt.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Where I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, you're just giving up your humanity.
That's not the same thing, though. What if you were... You're not, but what if you were a collector of Pops like I am, and you were a big fan of that, and so you wore a shirt to support it? Like,
I mean, that's... I mean, I guess that's different. Like, I guess part of it's my mindset going into it. Where like,
but why do you have a problem wearing that, but you don't have a problem with buying Pops? Because this is where I thought you were going to go in the first place, and why I still think that's where your head's at a little bit, where it's like, you have a tendency, if I may, to get real weirded out about things when they become too popular too fast. Especially too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And Pop is one of those things, and they've merchandised like everything except for a couple properties.
Lethal
we
Weapon.
don't know why they haven't merchandised. And that's weird for you, but you still have bought some of them, and you don't think I'm a crazy person for having the ones I have.
No, I get
or
the
maybe
appeal
you
of
do,
Pops.
but you just think it's interesting.
No,
like
no, I get the appeal of Pops.
Okay.
And part of the appeal of Pops for me is...
And it's important to know that he did buy this shirt and he's wearing it.
Yeah.
That's a thing that...
Well, I mean, I got it for free, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because you bought another.
Yeah.
It was that doesn't count.
Yeah,
It's like
I know.
get something. I'm just saying.
Well,
you did grab that.
Well, it does kind of count in the sense of there were not a lot of shirts I was looking for, but it was a buy one get two free.
So you had to get something.
I would not have bought this if I wasn't getting
it was
on
the
a deal.
first one. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
weird. This is one of those cases where there's just this disconnect where I totally see where you're coming from, and I cannot drum up those same feelings.
No,
Yeah.
and that's that. But like, there's a disconnect between art and product, and in a way that I can look at anything Batman and be like, well, there's something artistic going on there. We're building a story. We're doing something. I understand that Batman is a corporately owned character. Pop is a line of toys.
But you could make the argument that the Pops are supporting the narrative medium in the first place. That like they make Pops of things, and then people might think that they're...
Which is
like,
why I have no problem buying them, because they're representations of the things I like. The problem then becomes, now I'm a walking billboard for this product. I have a problem wearing an Aquaman shirt. I have a problem wearing an Aquaman Pop shirt.
But may I also make the argument that a lot of people, when they look at that, are gonna see Aquaman before they see the Pop, because
that may be true.
Because the cute stylized thing has been in long before Pop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
what's the weird worm like? The
people,
Sumis?
Yeah, I don't get that. The Disney thing. And that got a comic.
Yeah, I know it did.
Yeah.
How did that get? How did that get a comic and Pop didn't?
I don't know. That will happen. That is inevitable. I think that's
Or
inevitable.
they can't.
But for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why they couldn't, though. They merchandise everything else. I don't get it.
But maybe their licenses wouldn't allow for such a thing. So, like, you would get a DC Pop comic. You wouldn't get the fun of all of the Pop and
I don't think, I don't
Lego.
think that's possible, but I don't know why that would stop them. From like, why would it have to be crossover? Why would it have to inherently be crossover?
Because I feel like that's the inherent appeal of doing a Pop narrative. In the same way that we did with Lego.
That wouldn't stop them. And also, we didn't do that for the longest time with Lego. We were already
There are no Lego comics.
There are no DC or Marvel or whatever Lego comics. They print their own strips in their magazine.
Well, yeah, and Bionicles like that. But I mean, there are no Lego Batman comics. And I think that's
true.
Interesting.
That's true. We did covers.
Yeah.
And they were great. That cover month, I would have liked to have had all those. They were really cool. I got the Supergirl one. But I would make the argument, and I might be wrong, that there are a lot of people that would recognize Pops before they recognize that as Pop. And I'm not saying that really says anything necessarily about, like, whether or not it's cynical or too like overly corporately minded or whatever. It's not necessarily an argument against what you're saying if you feel that way. I'm just saying that when you say you're a walking billboard, I don't know how many people are actually going to notice it before they just notice Aquaman, or just like glaze over everyone wears superhero everything now. You know what I mean? Like, that's interesting. Yeah, and like I said, like, I feel like I would wear a shirt with an action figure on it, but I haven't. Like, I don't have a.
Well, and there's also a difference to me between like a shirt with like Batman action figures or something like that, and like it's NECA Batman, and like the collar says NECA, and like it's selling it. Like, I don't think this actually says Pop on it, but
I guess I just don't really mind that much, like, wearing stuff that I really like on my sleeve, you know, like whether it's narrative or not, you know, like you're talking about it, like, unless it's pushing for a story-driven thing, it's really cynical. I don't really understand that mindset, because
it's not creatively driven. It doesn't have to be story-driven. It's not artistically or creatively driven.
But that's not traced. Someone drew that.
That's true.
Someone had to base that design on. I really think it's a narrative hang-up with you.
No, because I don't know.
No? Okay.
I don't have any issue with like band T-shirts.
Yeah,
you're supporting. I am not supporting anyone.
Right.
But I am supporting a company that makes toys.
But with your whole, like, it must be artistic in some way argument, you can say the same thing that you said a minute ago about comic covers, where, well, it's art. It's like cover art, or it's.
But it's representing a story you like, or something like that.
But I'm talking about with the band thing, like.
Yeah, but I don't know who drew this. Like if I knew who that was, like maybe, but like, I don't know.
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't have even thought of that. All right.
Your topic?
My next topic. I'm gonna ask you just a quick channel question.
Sure.
Which is, so many of our subscribers, and feel free to weigh in.
I really wanted you to like Geekvolution, good or bad? I'm like, well, that's a loaded question there.
He's like, well, is it a video with you or
am
without
I allowed to answer bad?
Is Captain Logan not in the video?
Am I gonna lose my rights on the channel?
All those privileges you have being on Geekvolution.
I mean, I get to be in this. You could say fucking shit.
Oh, you're such a sucker. Okay, so with the and feel free to weigh in, patrons watching this. We'd love to hear from you. There is a good percentage, and I'd love to take a poll if such a thing were possible. I mean, I could take a poll, but I don't know how many people I could actually get to. I don't know how many of the people that watch regularly would actually answer the poll, so it would be hard to tell how skewed the statistics were. I would love to have a percentage number of people who never ever actually watch what they're seeing and just listen to us.
Yes.
We've talked about this before. There are a lot of people that tell me that. It makes me wonder if I need to really ever put panels in comic reviews, for instance, because a lot of people aren't even seeing them and they only flash up for a few seconds, the way I edit them now. I wonder sometimes if we shouldn't start to move in a little bit more of a podcasty sort of direction. And the more I've listened to podcasts, that has started to get kind of appealing to me. And, like, nobody panic, I'm not talking about leaving YouTube. I don't want to add an extra thing to my plate either. But the podcast thing is appealing to me, and the notion of eventually moving into that realm and maybe even broaching like radio or something and getting like affiliate stations to carry things we do, I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. And I've known people who have done this. I've got some okay connections here and there. I feel like I could eventually maybe make something like that happen, but I don't think it would be monetarily beneficial to us the way YouTube has been, unless it garnered more patrons. So it wouldn't be a thing I would do for a business reason, really. I think it would be kind of risky, except it might grow our audience. But I don't know how many of them would come over to YouTube and how much it would actually be beneficial. So I guess the question I'm asking just is, like, is this a thing I should even think about pursuing, or should we just keep things exactly the way they are?
No,
or should we maybe at some point just drop one or two things and bring them over to a podcast and use the podcast platform to try to grow our audience, and also just to have it there for folks that really want that? Because we get requests all the time for the audience we have to take things. We're just having a business meeting right here in front of you guys, in order to what was I going to say? People have asked us if we will take things we're doing already and put them in podcasts.
Well, and that's a thing that I don't like that people do, which is they have a podcast, but it's only on YouTube. I'm like, fuck you, I can't listen to it on my phone.
Yeah, and
no,
we get complaints about that all the time.
I don't mind it.
But we do have a video component, except for, like, commentaries and things besides Mania.
And I don't mind that because we're a YouTube channel. It's not the only thing we do.
Yeah,
but I take issue.
I've gotten away from the word podcast because it's not really what we do.
Yeah.
I used to do spoiler podcast. I changed that to spoiler cast.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying I invented that phrase, although when I decided to change that to spoiler cast, I didn't realize other people had been doing it, and then I looked around and other people have been doing that. But anyway, I got away from that word.
Yeah, because I don't like it when channels do that. There's a channel that I like a lot called Alpha Rookie, who I used to listen to. Almost all their videos ended up as podcasts. They just ripped the audio and did it as podcast.
I thought about doing that with Omnibus,
and
there's too much of a visual component to a lot of that.
And then all of a sudden, their podcast stopped showing up in my feed. And I went to their YouTube channel. They're still posting videos, and they were like, "Well, it just costs too much to host the podcast stuff." But they don't. I don't think they call
That's
it
the other thing
podcast.
Too, is it would be a pretty. It would be a not significant percentage of our monthly earnings.
Well, and then the question becomes: are you splitting? Like, if this is not how it works, but if we earn 50 cents a view on YouTube and 10 cents a view on a podcast, and people who are primarily listening to us anyways are all going to go just listen to the podcast, now we're making less money.
Yeah, exactly. But what, like you said, it doesn't really work that way. It's kind of more if you went to.
I don't think you make any money on podcasts. I think it's all sponsors.
If you went to the podcast format, it would be hoping you got some sponsors and hoping to get Patreon to drive it. And there are a lot of podcasts that don't actually earn money because it's more of a hobby thing for them. And if all I was doing was that, I might consider doing it that way if it was more of a hobby. But of course, it's kind of turned into what I do. If you just do a podcast, most of the people who are, I would say the majority of the people that are doing that don't have like any money on the top of it. It's just to pay for what they're doing.
Right.
There's a podcast I listened to where their goal was $100 and we pay for all of our podcast fees, and that goes through every month. So I joined their Patreon to get them over the hump because they were at like $95. So I pledged $5 to get them to the hump.
I'm gonna make. I don't have this written down, but my next topic is gonna be about the podcast thing. I just thought of as you were talking.
Okay,
but I don't want to get off.
No, that's okay. That's all I had to say about it. Really, is just: do you think that's a thing that we should even remotely entertain?
I don't know.
I think a lot of the reason I'm only really thinking of it, besides the fact that folks don't infrequently ask about it, is that I like some of the podcasts I listen to, and that sounds like an appealing format to me. Not to completely leave YouTube. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, and I listen to a lot of.
And I do like being on camera. I wouldn't want to totally get rid of that, but I'm so dumb. I didn't think of this until just actually I did, and then we got to talking, and then I just looked at the very next thing on my list. I have a pop topic.
Oh,
one of my pod topics is a pop topic.
Okay,
I'll do it next.
Okay, well then I'm gonna make mine.
Your podcast topic.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a podcast.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Yeah, sure.
So, I fucking hate celebrity podcasts, and I also fucking hate people who are not celebrities that become celebrities through podcasts.
Okay. Wow.
So one of the things... Okay. So
he's coming out swinging, you guys.
So one of the things that I learned, or that I've learned with podcasts is, early on, Kevin Smith started having sponsors. And I was like, fuck you. I listen to podcasts where people, like, are living, you know, like, record in their basement, and they don't need to gouge money out of me. Why do you? And then the reality of the situation sets in. I'm like, oh, well, that guy has 400 listeners. Kevin Smith has 1 million listeners. It's a lot more expensive. Okay, that makes sense. And
also, the dude in his basement probably isn't actually making money on it.
No.
And Kevin Smith's going to do it to make money.
Yeah, I don't think he should. That's part of my hang-up with celebrity podcasts is... Look,
it becomes
man,
the thing they do, and they're not doing what they were doing in the first place?
Well, not just that, but also, you're already fucking famous. You already have more money than any of us are ever going to see. How dare you?
That's an assumption you're making about some people.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not saying Kevin Smith is a poor person, but he's a person who's not going to just sit around and not make money.
No, I know, but there's something about that to me that really feels like you're taking advantage of, like, a thing that, like, people do as a hobby and for fun, and you've turned it into a way to make money for yourself, and I don't think you need money. Like, if somebody started there and, like, got...
You're saying it just comes from a greed place?
Maybe. A lot in the comedy community. Because there are a lot of people who are B, C, D grade comedians who have started a podcast and are now famous.
Yeah.
And now have money because they started. I think one of the biggest, like, joke.
What does that mean for money? Is that cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I don't know.
Money.
Like, do you know Mark Maron's podcast? Oh, okay. So.
Do I know who that is?
No one's brought up the Mark Maron podcast in a while, but for a while, Mark Maron's podcast was really big because he got comedians to come on and really talk about shit. Here's the thing: Mark Maron has never been a successful comedian and seems to only. His entire strategy for his podcast worked because he's basically been a loser in the comic community, but knows all of them because he's been there this whole time.
Yeah, sure.
He does this podcast where the first 20 minutes of every podcast are painful. It's just him talking about his life like we give a shit. We're not there for him. We're there for the people he's interviewing.
Yeah, that does get really problematic, doesn't it? Where people think that because you're subscribed to them, they're there for your personality, and that's not
if you're an
true for
interview channel, that's usually not the
for
case.
Everybody. It is for some folks, of course, certainly. But I think it's just important to be realistic and understand what your audience is coming to you for.
Yeah, well, and
not to have delusions of grandeur about
any interview podcast. You need to, like, you're being listened to because you're interviewing people, and you may be a good interviewer. They don't give a shit about you personally. They're interested in.
That's not even true of all of them, is it? Like sometimes. I think I can't think of a good example. Maybe the word balloon guy. I'm sure there's people that actually like him and care about what he has.
I love John Suntress, but I always skip his intro stuff.
Really?
I think he's a great interviewer. I always and I love hearing him talk with them about things. When he's on his own, I don't really care. I always skip that stuff. I think Suntress.
I think you can build a community that is interested in your personality and likes you personally with in interview channel. I think that is possible.
Okay. Well, so Mark Maron, we do these painfully long opening segments where he talk about his goddamn cat.
But he probably thinks people think he's funny, and they're not necessarily really there for that.
And
he probably thinks he's still a comedian, and you're saying.
But he kind of got to be. Like, now all of a sudden he had, like, a TV show and, like, got to do, like, stand-up. Like, he's got stand-up specials on Netflix and shit. The dude was no one. He became famous interviewing famous people.
Yeah, not for the same.
And now
which
now
is not invalid.
No,
that's not.
No,
I mean,
but
like,
be famous for what you're famous
interviewing
for.
Is a skill. Yeah, absolutely.
I want him to admit he's a failed comedian and that what he got successful and famous for is interviewing actual comedians.
Yeah, James Lipton interviews actors. That doesn't make him a great actor. I also don't think James Lipton is probably a bad actor, but like, he knows about acting. But I'm just saying, like, that's not what he's. That's what you wouldn't go to, like, James Lipton. This is an absurd thing to say. James Lipton's not going to suddenly sell out a music concert because he's a great interviewer. It doesn't make sense.
But I also like,
even if he plays bass on the weekends, like
I have an issue with. Like it's weird. Like I don't want to come off like screw the man or like rich people or whatever. But like, get the fuck out of our sandbox. Like there are so many podcasts where I'm like okay, so like here's a bunch of people that are really passionate about something, and here's a bunch of jerk offs who see money in talking about movies or comic books or whatever, and they come in, they do these superficial, and they try to be really fucking funny, and they're already failed comedians.
Kind of connections in the first place, so that gets them above some of the people that are maybe like more passionate or actually talented in a way they're not, or something. Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, and like, so they're all comedians. All of these fucking people are failed comedians who come in like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna make fun of bad movies. And I'm like, fuck you, there are 15 other podcasts with guys who genuinely like this stuff and like have things to say about it and like it's fun for them. You're doing this because it's now a job. Yeah. And I fucking hate that. Well,
it's kind of bucking a trend, right? Like,
I'm so done with that. I'm so done with finding out that like someone on a podcast is comedians.
That what we do is really oversaturated now.
Oh.
And you know, it's a thing I sometimes worry about where I'm like I don't want to sound like sad and pathetic, but like there is a part of me that there is a slight insecure part of me, I guess, that sometimes thinks like what is special about me with like all the other people that do you know exactly what we do, where it seems like everybody and his dog thinks they can make a living at it.
Well, and just like with podcasts, the most successful YouTube channels are ones that are fucking corporately run. Who are these people who are failed actors, failed comedians, who get paid money to come on and pretend that they like the thing they're talking
that makes
about.
Them legitimate because they have X number of subscribers and whatever it is.
And I'm just like I hate that they're so like one, they're clearly phonies a lot of the time, and like there was a podcast I listened to for a really long time, or at least for a while, called I don't even remember what it was called anymore. But it was a podcast about bad books, and it was great. They started with Twilight, but they also did like Dan Brown books, and I loved it. Those guys were all failed comedians, but like it felt like they were kind of doing something that was fun and they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they started taking requests, and they would do like they would do the Twilight book, and then they'd do the movie, and so they did some movies, and then it became everyone wants them to watch bad movies, so they'd start watching the bad movies everyone their dog has already done YouTube videos on and podcasts on, and
what was cool about them was they were covering stuff people don't cover.
Yes, and then they went to like an exclusively like
understand if people are like really interesting and insightful, or you just feel like you've gotten to know them personally, it almost doesn't matter what they talk about. Well, like if you've heard them talk about, because this is the thing I've run into.
But most of these famous people, I don't get that from.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is like if it's just. They're kind of funny. That doesn't seem to be enough. Like a lot of the time, it has to be something a little bit more than that. Because this is the thing I've run into where I'm like, well, why do you want me to talk about that? Like everybody else has talked about it, and they're like, yeah, but you might have something different to say, or we're just curious if you feel the same way or somewhat differently. And I think there is, I think for some people, if they just like you personally, you can cover anything you want to cover.
But I also think people are dumb, and they're just like, make fun of this movie.
Well, okay.
It's bad. Talk about The Room, you know, like, and I don't.
We talked about The Room.
I know we did, but that was fun because you'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
And I have, and I know The Room really well. Like I don't, and I know that they knew that that's what their channel became.
I'm not trying to be conceited. I'm not saying look at me, I'm really super insightful. I'm saying that we have
there's a more human personal connection to smaller things.
Well, what I was saying is we have the small base we have, and I still ask myself quite frequently why anyone gives a shit what I have to say, and I never take that for granted, you know. But I'm just saying what I have heard from people who are like, well, Cap, don't worry about talking about something that seems like irrelevant now or not or something that like 100,000 other people have talked about. We like you. We like listening to you talk. You're kind of this is what people have said to me. You guys are kind of raw, and it's like just being in a room with a friend, and we like that feeling.
Well, and that's what I like from good podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
And then
there are people I feel like I've gotten to know really well that I'll maybe never talk to.
But
and that's why I've started inviting people from podcasts that I like a lot onto the channel. I did it with the Super Mercado Brothers. I have one of them on. I'm about to do it with the Sega podcast that I listen to. They've agreed to come on, and like I'm almost more excited about that I would be to talk to like celebrities and people, just because it feels like I know them, but I've never gotten to actually talk to them, and so now I'll really actually get to know them. You know. I
also I found in the past year I have trimmed a number of podcasts that I listen to because they will not shut the fuck up about politics. This is not a case with a lot of the like smaller like podcasts that I listen to. But like there was
with the big ones, is it like a ratings thing or like
no? It's because they're failed comedians and they're all from LA and they're all super liberal, and so they all like feel the need to like there was one I listened to that I used to like a lot. Could not make it through an episode without making Trump jokes and doing a Trump impression. I'm like, I listen to you because I want to hear you make fun of movies. I do not want to think about politics while I'm you know.
Yeah, it's more of an escape from that stuff.
Yeah, and so like I'm like, you can't make it an episode without doing this. I don't need that anymore, and so I stopped listening to that podcast. And like, this is the thing that's come up more and more with some of those bigger things where I'm like, I get it, you're making sure that we know you're on the right side, and you have the right opinion, that's great, but I'm not here for that.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not listening to a Batman podcast for politics. I'm not listening to a Ninja Turtles podcast for politics. Like, I would just want to hear people talk about the thing I'm there to listen to them talk about. And I mean, sometimes they go off on tangents and you do other things, like we do. But when you like the guys, that's fun. Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't really have a specific topic.
Sure.
I just wanted to talk about my issue with the podcast. I don't feel like I've ever really openly talked about podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, no,
I've listened to podcasts for like a decade now. I'm a seasoned podcast listener.
One of the things that made me think of is just the detrimental, the really detrimental aspect of this whole everybody trying to be famous in their own basement kind of culture. And I might sound like the pot calling the kettle black because of what I do. You know, we're like I require doing what I do requires people to pay attention to me, but I don't feel like and some people probably listen to me say this and say, well, it's easier for you to say that because it makes you sound kind of like humble, maybe it's faux humble, and you're and like you're able to validate the fact that you're not big when that you're not like a big heavy hitter on YouTube when you say I don't need that, but Eric, I don't need that.
No, I know.
You know, in some ways it would be a really nice problem to have, but I also like the smaller kind of close-knit community. Close-knit, that sounds elitist, but the smaller knit community.
Yeah.
That we have, and like if it ever blew up. I say this 9 years in. You know, if it ever blew up much bigger, we were 100,000, 500,000 subscriber channel, we would kind of lose that. But in some ways, it would be a nice problem to have. So I don't want to say like I would resist it. I would leave if I got too popular. No, that would be a ridiculous thing to say.
I'm making too much money doing this. I can't even be bothered.
But the detrimental thing I'm talking about is the idea that having 1 million subscribers validates you as an artist or validates you as a person.
Yeah, this is
horrifies me. I'm a little bit saddened sometimes when I look at when I hear people who look at channels that are a lot smaller and are like, why are you doing that? You only get 1,000 views a video, or you only get 500 views a video. But like, that's still an audience, you know.
And
I might question 5.
Yeah.
You know, like I might question.
I have seen too many YouTube videos where it's like, so you have like 16 subscribers, you have 10 views, and you're talking like as if you have an audience.
Because that's just a lack of self-awareness, you know? But I mean, like, we started Who Reviews the Reviewers when we had 1,000 subscribers. That's not necessarily the number of people that are watching. You know, I mean, we're up to, what, like 27,000 subscribers, and our average view count is still somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 people. And people look at that and they go like, well, like what happened? Like, the majority of the subscribers that you have aren't even watching every video. I'm like, yeah, but we have a core audience. And then we have the people that subscribe because of a video
they're there for Crypto Freaks, they're there for Rewind.
Right, sure, and that's why some of those videos, especially Rewind when they come out, have much larger view counts. And if that's all I put out all the time, then those numbers would be a lot closer together. That you'd see, you'd see half or like a quarter of that 27,000 quite often. I don't go around saying, oh, we have 27,000 people watching us. That's the number of people that have bothered and haven't left to subscribe and stay subscribed. That looks nice, I guess. But like, what I'm saying is, some people look at the like 1,000 views per video and they go, oh, you're not relevant, you're not valid. That has always been the average for us.
Well, and
past the point where we could get 1,000 views on a video, and monetarily, I make enough to pay for comics and to pay for the channel and stuff to review and stuff, and it's worth it to me. Like I don't need the validation. You know what I mean?
Well, and as with the podcast in YouTube, like, and I it's not like this is a conscious choice.
Yeah.
I don't go, they have less subscribers, therefore I'm going to like them more, kind of a thing. But I find,
you like niche stuff, though. You tend to like underground things.
That's true, but like, I find, with a few exceptions, most of the bigger channels I find unwatchable. I think almost all of the larger comic book channels are garbage. For me personally.
Is it a pandering thing? Is it a watering
it's
down?
It's a lot
thing?
of pandering. It's a lot of
least common denominator thing.
It's a lot of least common denominator.
I'm just gonna keep throwing out words.
But it's all of them.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
They're all garbage. Like, I don't like almost any of them. There's a couple bigger channels that do things that I do like, but
well, let me see if you agree with this, and I don't know if you'll even be able to win on this because you're not really a gamer. But I don't watch a lot of video game videos. I guess we talked about AVGN. We talked about that earlier, but the aforementioned AVGN thing. But like, isn't it weird that, I mean, there's some annoying things in video game channels. I don't think video games has that problem the same degree comics do. Like, some of the larger channels do some really good stuff.
Yes, that's absolutely
Isn't
true.
that interesting?
Yep.
Like Video Game Historian and things like that, like those are huge. I haven't watched those videos, but people talk about them like they're pretty in depth, and like Son of a Glitch is pretty good. Like there's some of these very large channels that I feel like do good work and are thorough and aren't just like saying all the obvious stuff or don't really care about what they're talking about.
Comics
or are pretty passionate. I don't think comics, or at least the way you put it, because again, I don't watch a lot of those things, but some of the larger channels that I have looked at, you seem to be correct about
Shortly before I moved here, there was a video that made me livid. That was a, like, top 5 Batman stories we want to see adapted. That was the most generic and obvious list. I was like, why even fucking make a video? Like, and that's all that channel did.
Gouging, yeah.
For me personally, the channel I mentioned earlier, Alpha Rookie, is the best comic book channel on YouTube for me.
How small is it?
I think they have slightly over 1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. But they're really good.
I love them because they talk about things no one else is talking about that they are passionate about. So I will watch a video about something I've never heard of, and I will, and I'm like, I have to buy that.
And you'll learn something.
Yeah. They also love Alien vs. Predator, and they do it. There's a 2-part video where they cover every Alien vs. Predator crossover with everyone else. They cover all of them.
That's great.
And they're covering something no one else is covering, and I believe when they're talking that they've read this shit. Unlike a lot of the bigger channels where I'm like, I feel like you read a Cliff Notes or you read Wikipedia.
You have a lot of people that don't want to get into niches that other people haven't covered because they might not be popular enough to get them to 1 million. Like, it just
that's what I like about the channels. They don't seem to care. They're just talking about whatever they care about.
That's really cool.
And that's far more appealing. I want to see people talk about what they care about. I don't want to see people talk about what they think people want to hear. Unfortunately, what they think people want to hear is apparently what people want to hear.
When you have... I think it's important to know, and there's a difference, of course, between what people want to hear and what people are interested to hear about. There is kind of a balancing act you have to do, and I don't think I'm great at it. I'll just say that I don't think I'm great at it. Where when you have an audience that is really supportive, there is a part of you that wants to just make all the things you want to make and ignore all the requests, and then there's a part of you that wants to put out things people want to hear about, not just to get the big view counts, but because, well, they're your audience and they're why you're there and you care about them and their interest, at least for my part, propels you forward, you know. And so it helps to keep me enthusiastic about what I do because other people care to hear what I have to say about it. You know, I'm not doing it just because I have an audience. I did this for 2 years before we had any monetary anything whatsoever. It was a hobby for 2 years that I did full time, hoping to get it. I
didn't get paid until a year before I moved here.
Yeah. like at all.
I like never got paid for YouTube.
Yeah.
And even now, like from my channel, I mean, I guess it'd be different if I was putting out things, but even when I was putting out things, I'd never made more than $20 on my own channel.
But yeah, but like interest is for me a thing that kind of helps propel me forward, you know. It's incentive, and so I guess what I'm saying is I understand people who feel the need to prioritize certain videos because there's more interest in it than other videos, and that's not just about monetization. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's about well, you know, our audience likes it when we talk about these things, but you also don't want your audience to like completely dictate everything you do, because you can get burnt out. You can repeat yourself. You can talk about the same things over and over again. Like there are certain things that a lot of our audience wants us to talk about all the time that we might get bored with if we did all the time. But sorry, let me say this real quick, because I brought all that up to say this, which is I would love to turn more of my focus to literature. There's just not enough interest in it. Like, if I were to start over, I'm not going to. If I were to start over, I'd start a sci-fi lit channel. I do Star Trek. I do original stuff. I do sci-fi book series. It's a big niche. There's not a lot of people covering it. And when you go look at book reviews on YouTube, they tend to get around 500-600 views. I feel like with if you had like more polished videos, maybe you did them, you did written reviews, you could maybe do better than that, a little bit better than that. But that's never going to be a 1 million subscriber channel.
Well, and I'm really saddened by the lack of literature representation on the internet in general.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find.
It's a world I have connections to, and that I am sadly lacking in, that I'm not doing enough of. Just reading enough.
Well, and especially going backwards.
Started doing a lot more lately, but
you can probably find a review for pretty much any Star Wars or Star Trek book that's come out since like 2008. If you want reviews for things before that, they're real sparse.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is for almost anything that's not like a actual like literary classic kind of thing. Like I'm sure you can find lots of things on Heinlein. Lensman's a little sparse. You looking for stuff on Lensman? Not a lot written about that.
Probably not Wildcards either, and
there's like nothing on Wildcards, and it annoys me so much.
Yeah. Again, in a perfect world where we had like 48 hours a day, Eric and I would totally do a Wildcards podcast.
Absolutely.
Because nobody's talking about it, and that would get like 15 views. You know, like nobody would care.
And it'd be interesting because we both know very little about that world, and so I don't know if you know this about Wildcards, but because it's alternate history,
and also with that. We could get interviews really easily.
Yeah.
We could talk to the folks that wrote those.
Wildcards and alternate history.
I'm about to talk to one of the folks that wrote those.
And I think
Melinda Snodgrass.
I think it's like they go full bore with the alternate history thing, and so like I think it's Frank Zappa's son is a werewolf who also becomes president of the United States or something like it's crazy. But the thing I was going to say before we should move on back to whatever your topic is.
Yeah, sure.
How much time do we got?
13 minutes.
Okay. The thing that I was going to say before was something I was hanging on to. I was like, don't forget it.
I'm sorry.
No. What's wonderful about the omnibus, not to sell our own product, but what's been wonderful about the omnibus.
I feel like I've used this section to talk too much about us. I apologize.
What's been I just ranted about podcasts that I've listened to, like whatever. Hey, how much more self-indulgent could I be?
Well, it's just we're in that world, and so it's difficult not to be like, well, like am I doing some of the things you're talking about, or like how because how do I feel about
because you're mainstream
I have a
guy.
Stake in that,
because you're a mainstream guy and you do the mainstream stuff.
And I would wear that shirt and not think twice about it.
And you're passionate about that stuff. Whereas, like I feel like a lot of the people like are mainstream people pretending to be niche people, and so it's like, yeah, like. We all know that this movie's bad, or we all know that this comic's, whatever. What's great about the omnibus is I don't have to have any kind of like worry about like, am I wasting my time reading this comic that no one's going to care about? Because in the omnibus I can talk about like, hey, I read this fucking French comic or whatever. Like I can talk about whatever I want, and I have like a small place. So I don't have to do a whole video.
5 minutes on it.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about views. Like it's a small part of this larger thing. And that's wonderful. We
haven't talked about that's really
because going back looking at I recently looked at my channel just to see what my views were, and it was really depressing. Where I was like, here like every video that was something I really cared about was like 600 views. Like, and I was really bummed. I was like, oh, like, I love Casanova. Casanova's like a 600 view video.
Yeah, here's what's really interesting about that specifically. not Casanova specifically, but
Yeah.
but the idea of, because part of the reason you review those things, or at least part of the reason, I don't want to speak for you, part of the reason I review things like that,
Because you want people to go look at them.
yeah, is for people to find out about it in the first place. If the paradox is, if they don't, or the contradiction is, if they don't already have interest in it in the first place, what is the incentive for them to click on it? Just the fact that you're talking about it. But if it's part of a larger show, they can't help but hear about it.
Yeah.
And so that's why the Omnibus makes so much sense.
Yeah.
To just sneak in stuff that we want to talk about that nobody maybe has heard of. So if they're watching Comic Vault and it's not like even some of the segments out on their own can be like when we take them out can be really useful for that, because it's like they clicked on it for like the recent Batman stuff that came out, but maybe they did listen to the whole thing and they heard the part where I talked about a underground comic that somebody sent me in the mail. You know, like how else are you going to get people to click on that stuff? You know, and some of the things I hear from people, some of the messages I get from people where they talk about how much they appreciate the channel is when we turn them on to something that they never heard of before. It's not just that they want to get
well, and I love that feeling too.
About it. Me too, yeah. And that's part of why I like to listen to podcasts now, is I find out about things that I never knew about.
Yeah,
and it's about sharing. You know, it's about learning and helping each other. You know, growing your fandom. You know, that's part of the job, I think.
I agree.
Should be. Let me do my pop thing.
All right, do your pop thing.
I don't think
this
we've
is
done
the
this
pop
topic.
and podcasts.
If we've done this
After
topic, let me know and we'll move on, because I know you and I have had this conversation and those really mix together for me.
Sure.
When we've done it on camera and when we haven't. How long is it going to last? This is a $6 million question. Right
I give
now.
it 5 years, tops.
Pops.
Yep. Top, pop.
5 years, you think?
Tops.
Entirely?
Worth money.
Okay, all right.
Able to make a living.
Yeah.
Buying and selling and trading pops, because I'm sure there are people that do that.
Yeah. No, they have to be Beanie Babies, right?
They are Beanie Babies. I am convinced pops
Are
will
we
be
sure
Beanie
we haven't
Babies.
done this? I'm not sure we haven't done this.
I don't know.
Okay,
I know we've had this conversation.
Yeah, we have this conversation.
We've made the Beanie Baby comparison.
Here's the thing. There's a part of me that will be excited the day that happens, because
you'll be able to get Zero&R Batman.
I can get the $200 ones for cheap. That'll be great. Like, I'm not collecting them because they're worth money. I'm collecting them because I think it's cool that there's any line that made like 200 Batman figures.
I also think it's possible that the bomb will drop out and there will never be expensive new pops, but like Zero&R Batman will always stay.
Yeah, that's
a possibility, which Beanie Babies does not have.
Can something take it over? Will we ever get to the point? Two questions. Will we ever get to the point where people want more realistic looking figures again? Maybe they get cheaper or something like that happens. And B, do we ever get to the point, maybe that's what would cause it, where cute is not in the way it is now?
God, I hope so.
Those are the two.
God, I hope so. Not that I don't like pops. I do like pops, but God, I hope we get past this cute shit. But also, I think part of it is also, I'm giving us 5 years on this nostalgia geek cannibalization of our history bullshit.
Yeah.
I think we are in a momentary blip before we go back to the way the world really is. I think all of this shit is going to become real niche again within 20 years.
The bottom does have to drop out on that, because how long can it be nostalgic before you get to the next generation that is just regurgitating the nostalgia? Like, they're not going to think about it that way. It's not going to be like, when I was a kid, we had this thing that we're trying to get back to. It's going to be, when I was a kid, my parents were trying to get back to this thing that they remembered,
and we have continued to produce it for the past 30 years.
Yeah, so I don't miss it. It's just there, you know.
Yeah, there's no nostalgic feelings for Pac-Man. Pac-Man's fucking everywhere.
Yeah, and
will continue to be everywhere for the next 30 years. Like, once your kids become adults, it's just always going to... We've forgotten, or we've lost, because we've instant access to everything. It's very hard to have that feeling ever again of like, oh, I remember this. Because it's never going to go anywhere ever again. It is going to stay there. Which
is good. It's a good problem to have. You know,
it's a good problem to have, but once people catch on to that, even subconsciously, you might not notice it, but your brain did. It's not going to feel special anymore, and I think we're going to stop selling that shit. And then we'll just cycle, right? Like, and then then there won't be as much of it, and it will build that nostalgic feeling again.
I think the key is that you lose the bittersweet feeling. That's the key. You know, part of nostalgia. The Super Mercado Brothers. I'll do a quick plug for them. The video game music podcast I listen to. They did a whole episode on nostalgia.
Interesting.
And the way you perceive the music you love and why you love it, especially when it's nostalgic. So the question is, like, you know, can you look at something that you loved when you were a kid objectively at all? And one of them, Will's whole definition of nostalgia was it's not just stuff that you like loved when you were a kid and you get excited when you see it again. It's not just joy. He says it's all about bittersweetness. Like there's also
I can never have that again.
Of longing. You can't get back to it, and you're constantly clawing back. And you've heard me talk about that a lot too. Where there's almost a sense of depression that has to come with it. Which I like that point a lot.
Which is something that I have had more in the past year than maybe I ever have. And maybe I wasn't old enough to genuinely have nostalgia, which, by the way, I think the word nostalgia is getting overused. Especially because everything's constantly fucking there. Like, I listen... once a week, at the very least.
But importantly, it can never be there exactly the way it was. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's always there... Like as you change and grow, and you, as we always say, turn into a different person.
But if it never goes away in the first place, I don't know what that does to nostalgia.
Yeah,
you'll never forget it. You'll never rediscover it.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh my god, I remember this being completely different, because it'll have been there your entire life. More and more.
Had that with a breakfast cereal.
Yes, you did. Which I think you talked about in the last one.
Did I talk about alphabets?
I think so. I think you talked about the
You know,
last
one. I really wish I had waited and done that on camera and made it a Snackvolution. I really wish I'd done that.
But no, more and more
I would have been like, oh yeah, of course, we took half the sugar out.
I have had these like almost flashbacks like to the 90s and just like wanting to go back there.
Yeah.
And like
interesting.
Like it's really dumb to be like how much simpler times were, kind of a thing.
Well, it's not dumb. It's strange and kind of frightening.
And there's like a real like wanting to dive back into stuff from the 90s comics and things like that, where I'm like, I just want to go back to that time when things were like this.
That was why I made Spawn here.
And I never really had that before. Like I think I've finally gotten old enough where I can actually long for, oh man, I wish I could go back to the way it was. Both with like pop culture and like personally, like for the world, like politically and everything. Like, but like right now, I'm dissatisfied with a lot of things. Like, it's not just like, for me, it's not just like, well, everything kind of sucks right now politically, which I think is what it is for a lot of people.
Yeah, sure.
It's also like, yeah, but I also don't like most of the comic books we're printing, and I also don't like a lot of the movies we're making, and like. It's on every level.
Culture's kind of passing you by a little bit.
Yeah,
it's just not for you.
Yeah,
your standards feel different than some mainstream standards.
I'm becoming old.
Yeah,
but also I'm not like there are certain things where I'm like, no. The fact that we can't make a serious movie and everything has to be bullshitty jokes, that's not me getting old. That's everything else getting done.
It's an unsettling trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just remember that things are cyclical, and you had that in the 90s, and...
That's true. There's a lot of things that we've been talking about recently where I'm like, oh, we are in the 90s again.
Yeah.
But not economically, unfortunately.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, the 90s was a huge boom period. Like, everyone, like that was a really good time economically.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about the economy right now like it's what it was in the 90s. It's not. The perception is we're in the best place we've been since the dot-com boom. But the thing you have to understand is the economy itself is doing really well. The question is, the issue is where that money is going and who has it all. That's
Well, because I remember having the thought.
Because just keep when you say economy, we're not talking about how it's distributed.
Yes,
we're not talking about where the wealth is.
It was distributed well in the 90s. It seemed like everyone was doing way better in the 90s than we are right now. Because I remember when I was a late teenager, when I first started living on my own.
You didn't hear as many people talking about having to work 2 jobs and like one-income families being almost impossible. And,
yeah.
You know, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of factors with that. I don't want to get into it, but
I remember having a conversation with my friends shortly after I like moved out, and like we were all kind of living on our own for the first time, and having a conversation about like, what is it like when there's a good economy? Like, can you live in an apartment? Can you pay for an apartment? Like, what was it like? Because none of us know what it's like to live in a good economy where you're paid well and things like that.
That's not what good economy means.
But the way it was,
the nation is doing well.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm just saying, like even earlier, like the way you talked about that, it seemed like your premise was the economy is bad. No, it's not.
Okay, the economy, the way it was in the '90s, kind of a thing. Like everyone seemed to be doing all right.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's your
not
perception
everyone,
from childhood. I mean, like there was still, you know, I think you'd if you went to economists, you know, really paying attention, you'd hear people talk about you know how big the gap is even then, and how long it had been. You know,
yeah, but
there's this is not stuff I like talking about.
No, but there was stuff that was going on where like you cannot afford college now. You could in the '80s and the '90s. Like people were able to go on their own dime with a side job, able to kind of do college to some degree. That's not really a thing now if you're not going to
I think people still
college.
were having to take out loans. I don't think they lasted as long as they tend to now, but anyway.
Yeah.
And it's also really, really easy to fall into the rut of just everything was better when we were younger.
No, that's true. That's true.
But it is pretty...
It does seem to always feel that way for every generation, every decade.
That's true.
It always feels like it was better.
And sometimes that's rose-tinted glasses, and sometimes it's true. It depends on what we're talking about. It's hard for me not to think that it's kind of indisputable that it was a simpler time in the '90s than it is right now, and it was a simpler time in the '80s than it was right now, and or to the '90s, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But
I mean, the '80s had a lot of problems in itself. But
of course, yeah, sure.
'90s seem to be doing pretty all right. That's all I'm saying. That seems like that would have been a really nice time to be the age I am now.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on, you know, where you were and what exactly you were doing. I mean, there were still plenty of problems.
But also, wouldn't I be screaming about how dumbed down culture is then?
Oh, no, you would. Absolutely.
Wouldn't I be like, remember when we used to make movies?
Yep. That's what I'm saying. You definitely would.
I would fucking hate Independence Day.
Yeah. I was going to say, especially in genre, and especially in comedy, and especially in romantic comedy. But yeah, well, you know what? And that's going to be about it for today. Thanks so much for watching. We sure appreciate it, folks. Looking forward to your comments, and we will see you again in 2 weeks with another Geekvolution After Dark. I'm just going to keep doing this. I don't know what this is, but I'm just going to keep doing this. And in the meantime, Eric is going to go count my pops. I'm going to go play with some Legos. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Thank you very much for watching.